Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of TheCaliEffect, and today we are going to be going over a deck that I did not know could be competitive. Hell, I didn't even know this deck existed. We're talking about Lyrical. It is actually formerly known as Lyrical in the CCG. You can call it Lyrilusc. Now, Lyrilusc is missing one card, and I believe it would be called Lyrilusc Recite. Assembled Nightgale or Assembled Sight, something like that. We don't have it yet, so I can't give you I'm only giving you guys a rough translation of what it is. And what that monster does is when it's Exceed summoned, you can target one monster on the field and it gains attack. And then you can detach one material to add one level 1 Winged Beast monster from your deck to your hand. So that card definitely propels the strategy and is something that we're waiting for. It's a very good card and it's almost essential to the deck strategy. But what we have inside of the Maximum Crisis set, these cards are nothing less of awesome. And while we're here, if you guys are interested in buying Maximum Crisis boxes, let TheCaliEffect know via Facebook. I still got them. Let's also try to get this video to as many likes as possible. Keep in mind, the more likes that we have, the higher it goes, and the more people can see the awesome powers of Lyrical. So I know you guys are trying to see what Lyrilusc does, and we're going to show you guys inside of this video. Basically, you have your three main monsters: Lyrilusc Sapphire Swallow, Lyrilusc Turquoise Wobbler, and then Lyrilusc Cobalt Sparrow. They all work in conjunction extremely well together, whereas Turquoise Wobbler allows you to special summon it and then special summon another Lyrilusc monster from your hand. Cobalt Sparrow allows you to add one Winged Beast monster or one level 1 Winged Beast monster from your deck to your hand, which all of the Lyrilusc monsters are. And then Sapphire Swallow allows you to special summon both this card and another Lyrilusc monster if you control a Winged Beast monster. So these cards work very well in conjunction with special summoning each other, and since they're level 1, you can always use cards like Mystic Piper, Evil Thorn, as you guys have just seen, DD Crow in conjunction with these cards because they work so well to help propel your combo. Now this deck is extremely good, and when I mean extremely good, I'm like, bro! At Exceed summoning and spamming. As you guys can see, I am going off, and I'm making this monster super buff, 1500 attack. Now there is amazing effect about Lyrilusc Assembled Nightgale. First of all, it requires 2 or more level 1 materials, but it gains 200 attack for each material. And now it can attack directly per many times of the materials on this card. So I have 6 materials. Not only does it gain 200 attack for each material, it allows me to attack directly that many times. The next most important thing is that I can detach one material per turn. I take no damage and my monsters cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. And that card is nothing less of amazing with this deck. And as you guys can see, I don't necessarily get over my opponent's monsters. I just summon the Lyrilusc Assembled Nightgale and continuously attack my opponent directly. That's exactly what this Odd Eyes Magician player, love this deck, really thought it was coming inside of the Maximum Crisis set, but it isn't, was trying to do was just wipe my board, and I was like, I'm not trying to have all this. And as you guys can see, he has an extremely good board. Normally decks like this don't have the opportunity to rid certain threats before they do their win condition. This deck has quite a few ways to get rid of certain cards. As you guys can see, I forced him to use his trap card, and now I can attack for game with my Lyrilusc monsters without touching a monster. So imagine being able to play an actual annoying deck and being able to use it to the best of its ability, and also being able to win with it, because Chain Burn just doesn't work anymore for you players. This deck is extremely good, and I haven't even gotten to talking about its main fusion monster. That's because these level 1 burns just be putting the feathers down, bro, and your opponent doesn't know what to do with it. You have to excuse me, my allergies. Now, if you guys are paying close attention, that is right. You guys are looking at the best deck, or one of the best decks of the format. That is True Draco. I feel like Soldier Boy plays this deck because it's True Draco. But this deck, its main ability is to summon cards like Masterpiece, which is just a complete FU, and then continuously tribute summon and draw cards and put you at a very bad position. Something that this deck would have a hard time against, except this deck doesn't have a hard time against it. As you guys can see, I'm just going to search my cards and go on about my day. He's going to Solemn Strike me. I'm like, well, that's not very nice. And now I have to deal with a Masterpiece, which, that's okay. He's going to Masterpiece my Lyrilusc Squallow, and I'm like, huh. Well, that wasn't the smartest move, but now I'm just going to go ahead and make the monster that I really wanted to make. Unfortunately for him, I guess it really doesn't matter because I can chain the Lyrilusc monster to his masterpiece anyways. With that, I'm going to fusion summon into Lyrilusc Independent Nightingale. So this card not only allowed me to get over masterpiece, but it does a lot of awesome things. I'll tell you guys in the deck profile. Let's get right to it. The deck profile for Lyrilusc is extremely simple. We run 2 copies of Lunalight Black Sheep. What this card does is we can discard it to add polymerization from our deck to our hands. We run 3 copies of Kinko Bio. This card is extremely pivotal because it allows us to special summon our level 1 monsters back to our side of the field, which we can either use for an XE play, or if it's Mystic Piper, we can use this effect to continuously gain advantage. One of the more important cards from the deck, when you just sit down and think about it, you're like, this card is really good, is Evil Thorn. And what it does is you contribute this card, inflict 300 to your opponent, and then you can special summon 2 Evil Thorn monsters from your deck to your side of the field. So it tutors level 1 monsters to your side of the field. 2 copies of DD Crow. This, and just like a lot of other formats, have been very, very volatile to DD Crow. Like, DD Crow practically ruins someone's day, especially when they're going through with the Zoo combo and you hit the Norden and they just cry. So DD Crow is an amazing card and extremely searchable inside of the Lyrilusc strategy. 3 copies of Lyrilusc Turquoise Wobbler. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summon, you can special summon Lyrilusc monster from your hand or graveyard. So it propels the strategy. This is what the main cards are about. 3 copies of Lyrilusc Sapphire Swallow. You control a Winged Beast monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and 1 Winged Beast monster from your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. If this card is Xyz summoned, it gets an Xyz effect. You can attach 1 Lyrilusc monster from your graveyard, or target 1 Lyrilusc monster from your graveyard and attach it as Xyz material. Very important for your Lyrilusc monsters, adding more materials. And then Lyrilusc Cobalt Sparrow. If this card is special summon, you can add 1 level 1 Winged Beast monster from your deck to your hand. So another searcher on top of that. And if a Wind Xyz monster was summoned, it says your opponent cannot target that card with card effects. So it basically makes your Xyz monsters damn near invincible. Really good trio of cards that really help out each other. Next is your 3 copies of Mystic Piper. You contribute it, draw 1 card and reveal it. If it's a level 1 monster, you get the reveal, you get the draw again. As you guys can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 11, 14, 17, 20, 23, 26 of 28, or 26 of 40 cards, 26 of 28 cards are level 1 monsters. So the odds of us getting Mystic Piper right are extremely high. 3 copies of Swift Iron Scarecrow, or Swift Scarecrow. You can actually take out 1 copy of Swift Scarecrow for a 3rd copy of DD Crow. Depends on how you want to do it. What this card does is basically buy us time. While we're not a stall burn deck, this deck does have some stall burn qualities, and so it is a searchable card. It allows us to draw cards, a drawable card. It has great synergy with the deck. 3 copies of Effect Veiler. This card is bananas. Another card that if you guys don't feel comfortable with, you could take out Effect Veiler 1 copy for the 3 copies of DD Crow. What it does is during your opponent's main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, target 1 face-up effect monster your opponent controls, negate that monster's effect. So it definitely helps us a lot against a lot of great matchups. It's just a really good card ultimately, and we use it to negate a plethora of things. 3 copies of Instant Fusion and no Norden. I will explain that for you guys later. 1 copy of Raigeki, because it destroys all your opponent's monsters. 3 copies of Where Art Thou, probably one of the more important cards of the deck. If you control a face-up level 1 monster, 26 of your 40 cards, you can add 1 level 1 monster from your deck to your hand. During the end phase, take 2,000 damage if you do not normal summon the added monster, or a card with the same name after activating this card. Sometimes taking the 2,000 damage is imminent. Sometimes adding cards like Swift Scarecrow, Effect Veiler, and DD Crow could possibly win you the game. If I'm going first, having DD Crow in my hand and I know my opponent's playing Zoo completely alters their strategy. So you're probably going to win from that. 2 copies of Fusion Substitute. This card is always treated as polymerization, so it is searchable through Black Sheep. Fusion summon monsters from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion materials. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 fusion monster in your graveyard. Excuse me. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 fusion monster in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck to draw 1 card. So our Thousand Eyes restricts, which I actually should be playing 2 of, and 1 copy of Miss Bird Colossus. are extremely viable, as well as our Lyrical Lucina and Pendant Nightgales. 3 copies of Twin Twisters, 2 clear back row. Now for the extra deck, we run 2 copies of Independent Nightgale. We can only fusion summon 4 twice with Fusion Substitute, but never worry, you can actually get away with playing 1 because Fusion Substitute recycles it back inside of your deck. The next thing is Thousand Eyes Restrict. It is an instant fusion target. It is a level 1 target. It gets rid of monster threats. Norden does no help for this deck, seeing that we don't play any level 4 monsters to rank 4 spam with it. We could be special summoning cards like Effect Veiler, but they aren't that great. Like, you know, Synchro 5s aren't that great. 1 copy of Mistborn Colossus. It actually pairs well with the Formula Synchron. Sometimes you run out of options, you make the Formula Synchron. If you have an additional monster, you make Mistborn Colossus, and you can reduce an opponent's monster's attack to 0. This card is easily one of the best rank 1 monsters. It's Ghost Trick Dullahan. What it does is it gains 200 for each Ghost Trick card you control. You're never going to have that. But once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach one material, target one face-up monster on the field, half its attack into the end phase. It's really good for that. It halves monster's attack, allows you to get over stuff. 3 copies of Lyrical Lucina Recite Starling. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be called Lyrilusc Recite Starling. If it's XC summon, you can target one face-up monster on the field. It gains 300 attack and defense for each XC material attached to this card. So if you're using 5 material for this card, it's going to get pretty buff itself. Once per turn, you can detach one material, add one level 1 Winged Beast monster from your deck to your hand. Any battle damage you take from attacks involving this Exceed Summon card is also inflicted to your opponent. So it could also be one of those game-ending cards. If you have more life points to your opponent and have the huge monster, take that damage to end the game. 3 copies of Assembly Nightgale. I've already told you guys what it does. It's completely awesome. And then 1 copy of Utopic F-Zero. Back to the Nightingale. I really didn't get to explain to it in the build breakdown. Fusion summon using an Exceed monster on the field as fusion materials whose original names include Lyrilusc. You can increase this card's number, or increase this card's level by the number of Exceed materials attached to that monster ad. This card gains attack equal to its level 500. So you can make it a really buff card, unaffected by other card effects. Another great thing. Once per turn, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to this card's level times 500. This is the reason why Tyrant Neptune was banned. They would summon this and then tribute it for Tyrant Neptune, and then great, now you have, you know, an easy access to the card. And the fact that you didn't even have to play Lyrilusc to abuse this, all you have to do was instant fusion into it, was another thing. This deck is extremely good. This actually has a great remnants of Mystic Piper, so you could play cards like Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning. You could also play cards like Chaos Sorcerer, because you're going to run into those. You can even play sideboard cards like Dark Simorg and your Anti-Spell Fragrance. So those are all good options for this deck, and it really helps the deck pop. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. Lyricals or Lyrilusc is amazing. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.